I don't think we were all talking about the same thing. We weren't all using the same definition of what dating means, which means we weren't really even having the same conversation. So this series isn't me trying to teach people how to date. It's more me trying to figure out what exactly modern relationships have become and why so many of them feel welcome to the Undefined Podcast. My name is Tim, and this is going to be a little bit different than what I originally expected it to be because this started out as a Facebook post and somehow it turned into what will probably be an ongoing conversation. So before I go much further into any of this, I think it's important for me to be really honest about who I am and where I'm coming from in this conversation, because I don't want this series to come across like, here's Tim's definitive guide to dating and marriage, because that is absolutely not what this is. First of all, I've never been married. I've rarely ever dated in my life, and most of the dating experience that I do have came before I became a Christian. And honestly, since coming to faith, I really haven't pursued dating much at all. So in a lot of ways, this conversation comes from me trying to reconcile what I saw and experienced in the worldly dating culture with what I now believe about covenant, commitment, marriage, and relationships through the lens of my faith. So a lot of my perspective comes from observation, theology, conversations, church culture, modern culture, and honestly, just trying to make sense of what's going on around me in the world of dating. And I think that's partially why this Facebook post even happened. Because when I look at modern relationships, sometimes I genuinely feel confused. I don't feel judgmental necessarily, just confused. Like, what are we actually doing? What are people looking for? What defines commitment today? What does dating even mean anymore? Because it seems like everybody has completely different definitions. And honestly, one of the most helpful things about the comments on that post was realizing that I did not communicate my thoughts very clearly at first. Because when I said dating, people heard wildly different things. Some people heard, you should just marry the first person that you ever go to dinner with, which obviously is not what I meant. Other people heard, you should never take time to discern character or compatibility. And that's also not what I meant. And that realization actually became one of the biggest turning points in the whole conversation for me. Because as the conversation went on, I started realizing maybe we aren't actually arguing about principles as much as we're arguing about definitions. Like, what even is dating? Is dating going to coffee with someone? Is it emotional exclusivity? Is it physical intimacy? Is it spending years together while figuring out if you're compatible? Is it intentional pursuit toward marriage? Is it just companionship? Is it basically marriage but without the covenant? Because depending on who you ask, you'll get completely different answers. And honestly, I think part of my frustration, or maybe part of my confusion is the better word, comes from how undefined modern relationships can actually feel.